And good evening. Here we are, going from 11 to 12. I'm gonna talk about life, the world. We're going to go through Reddit because there are a lot of people out there who are looking for some kind of advice, and let's be real. A lot of the people who give advice within Reddit and they remain anonymous, they are not good at it. I hope they have day jobs, and I hope that they choose to keep them. So, what we're going to do here is we are going to go through these Reddit forums, r/advice. We're going to find some problems. We're going to give advice that will fix those problems. In the meantime, music in the background is Grizzly Hills, one of my favorite pieces. So here we have a post. Title is "My Best Friend Just Died." I'm 19. She was 19. She died alone in her apartment of a drug overdose. I just found out today she died on April 1st. So at the time of this post, it is April 3rd. She died on April 1st, very fitting for the type of person that she was. I don't think I'll ever stop crying. I don't want to leave my bed. I don't want to eat. I threw up. I don't want to do anything ever again. How do I move on from this? We were supposed to hang out today. I just don't know what to do. So there is... First of all, this is definitely a terrible tragedy. If I'm going to be completely honest, I do have to ask, or rather point out, to what extent the two of you were actually friends. That she went forward with this drug use and you stood by and said nothing. Did you not know about the drug use that was going on? Again, it's things like this that make me question to what extent you were actually friends with this person who unfortunately passed away. There is some good news, though. The good news is that time will fix everything. Now it's entirely possible 20, 30 years from now, you're still going to remember that. You're still going to remember that this happened. You're still going to remember this day. You're never going to be over it 100% completely. Everything's fine. Sunny days and rainbows. But your heart will heal itself in time. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions that you're going to want to be asking, like why did your friend do this? Is there anything that you could have done to have prevented this from happening? And the reality is, the answer to all those questions is going to be, I don't know. That's what you're going to tell yourself. You don't know. You don't know that you could have done anything. And that's okay. It's not your job to fix other people's lives. It is, however, your job to fix your own life. I would suggest you say you're 19 and she was also 19, I would highly suggest you get into some form of therapy and work through the grieving process. There's a few stages. Perhaps you've heard of people mention the acronym DABDA, which is denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and then acceptance. Not everybody goes through all 5 stages. And if people do go through all 5 stages, they don't necessarily go through all 5 of those stages in that specific order. But having a therapist by your side once or twice a week for an hour at a time could really do a lot of wonders in helping you better understand yourself and better understand your own grief related to this issue, this event, this thing that happened. And it's okay to say that this is an event that happened to you because you are directly related to this person. You were going to hang out with them very imminently. Get some therapy. Work on yourself. Don't allow this to consume you, because the reality is that if you do that, then it's possible that you could be leading yourself down a very dark road, similar to your friend. And that's not something that I'm sure that's not something that you want. It's not something that I would want. I don't even know you, but I don't wish that upon anyone. Here's a good one where sometimes with Reddit, there's just a title that just like jumps out, and it's like, pick me. And this is one of those ones where I read the title and I couldn't help but click into it. The title goes, "My girlfriend cheated on me with my dad, and everything kind of sucks." I agree. If your girlfriend cheated on you with your dad, then yes, everything does suck. So, the poster goes on. This is a male, so it's a heterosexual relationship. They're both 18. The poster and his girlfriend, both age 18. Barely adults. 18 is such a horrible age. Pretty much 18 to 25 is just miserable. Horrible. Ugh. Anyway. My girlfriend and I had been going strong for 2.5 years. So I'm actually going to stop it right here. So, your girlfriend cheated on you with your dad. You're both 18, and your girlfriend and you have been together for 2.5 years. My guess is that your dad knew of this girlfriend when you first started dating, which means that your dad was aware that this person existed when your dad was an adult already, and your girlfriend was 15 and a half. You're 15 and a half, he's 15 and a half. I have a lot of questions about your dad. Now, a lot of people, and when I say a lot of questions about your dad, I'm talking about a lot of legal questions about what his preferences may be. Maybe that sounds really awful of me to just outright kind of allude to such a thing, because there are people out there who say, oh, age doesn't matter, and that is true to an extent. Age doesn't necessarily matter. I always think back to my 6th grade English teacher. Her husband was 21 years older than she was. But the main difference with that is they didn't meet one another until after the younger one was already an adult. The difference here is that your dad met this person when they were underage, and that alone, that leading into this infidelity or whatever, it raises some questions about who your dad is, what he may or may not be hiding. I can't judge him because I don't know, but it just seems really bad to me. Also, you only have like one paragraph here. I don't know if your dad and your mom are still together or what, but let's actually go into this, because we haven't even gotten into the first sentence. My girlfriend and I had been going strong for 2.5 years. We started dating my sophomore year of high school, and things were generally good. What exactly does that mean when you say they were generally good? Good times and bad times. You unfortunately need for so much more than to simply have the good times outweigh the bad. It's not a 1-to-1 ratio. The reality is you're looking for about a 5-to-1 ratio. Anyway, I discovered last week that she and my dad had been having an affair over the course of a few months. Again, wow. When exactly did the two of you turn 18? When did you turn 18? When did she turn 18? How old is your father? Did this really begin only a few months ago? What happened between you and your girlfriend that she felt she needed to act out in this manner? What kind of a relationship do you and your father have that he felt he needed to act out in this manner? Where in this picture does your mother fit in to any of this? He goes on to say, I can't even describe how awful this makes me feel. I love them both so much. So many levels of betrayal, guilt, anger, disgust, etc. I moved to my grandparents' house and am trying to get back on my feet. I hope you mean your mother's grandparents. Because the reality is that if it's your father's grandparents, those are the people who ultimately raised this man to go on to do what he did to you. I really do hope it's your mother's grandparents. Maybe that's unfair of me to pull the dad's parents into this, but the reality is that you can't argue with the logic behind what I just said. they raised him to be the person that he ultimately became. He goes on to say, moved in with grandparents' house and trying to get back on his feet. So I do have a problem with that line. Moved in with his grandparents and he's trying to get back on his feet. What exactly does that mean to an 18-year-old male, that you're trying to get back onto your feet? You're young enough that you were never really on your feet to begin with. Let's keep it real. Get a job, get a gym membership. If you don't want to go to the gym in the trying times that we're going through with the world right now, get yourself some good running shoes and go for a run every day. He goes on to say, I feel so lonely all the time, and no amount of talking, substance intake, whoa. Wow, this just took a turn for the worse. No amount of talking, substance intake, distractions, or anything makes me feel any different. So, what I'm assuming this means is that your grandparents are trying to do everything they can to get you back onto your feet, as you put it. And maybe you're sneaking some of their wine, their box Franzia or whatever it is they're drinking these days. Maybe your grandfather has a bottle of scotch or something and you're partaking in that. Maybe you're smoking cigarettes or other things that, depending on what state you live in, may or may not be illegal. The reality is that you're not talking to the right people right now. This is not the type of thing to talk to family members about. In therapy, there's a specific term for receiving therapy from somebody that you know, a best friend or a family member. It's called a dual relationship, and generally it's kind of a big no-no in the world of therapy. You can't be married to somebody and have that somebody also be dispensing therapeutic advice in any kind of way. It just, there's too many personal connections for that to be an ethical kind of thing. What you should actually do is get a job, move to a different city, and I'm not necessarily, you know what, yes, you do need therapy. I was going to say I wasn't sure that you needed therapy because you're kind of at an age where relationships don't necessarily last to begin with, but the reality is that this wasn't just any kind of relationship. It may have been your first relationship. It lasted for 2.5 years, but the reality is that it's also the relationship with your dad that took a turn for the worse. So yes, get a job. Maybe that you've moved out is good enough. But get some therapy. He goes on to say, there's only like 1 or 2 more sentences. He goes on to say, I feel stuck in this hole. How should I go about getting better, finding someone else, and just generally moving on and not feeling so crappy all the time. I'm just going to power through it. There's one more sentence. My saving grace is that I got into UCSB for the fall semester. At least I have that. What is that? University of California, Santa Barbara? California guy. So there's one thing that I'd really like to place some focus on, and it was where you said, how should you go about getting better? I covered that. You need therapy. You also need to not see your dad for a long time. I'm not necessarily saying you need to cut your dad out of your life forever, but he's not somebody that you need to have in your life right now. And how should you go about finding someone else? The fact that is already your focus, that you're trying to find somebody else to be in your life, that's not a good thing. You need to figure out how to be able to live your life on your own. And quite frankly, I would suggest that you go to college and you don't date anybody from now. Well, first of all, don't date anybody from right now, today, until your first day at the university. And then for the full 4 years that you're there, I'm assuming it's 4 years, just kind of casually date. You don't need a big relationship to make you whole. You need to figure out how to make yourself whole first. So focus on your school. Let that be your life for the next 4 years. Don't let this bring you so far down that you end up completely ruining your life. Because at that point, yeah, it was this event that ultimately led to your life going downhill. But at that point, it was your choice to continue allowing it to affect you. You're allowing these people, whom I'm assuming you've cut both of them out of your life. The dad, again, maybe 5, 6, 7 years down the line, you can try to rebuild a relationship there. I would assume, or I would suggest, not necessarily doing that unless it's the father who comes and he is the one who is apologetic and wants to rebuild the relationship. The girl, I'd never let her back into my life if I were you. Just focus on school. You don't need to be in a relationship at all, really. So, I mean, that's pretty much it. Focus on school. Focus on yourself. Get a therapist. Work through your problems. And you know, a good thing about the therapy is if you do enough of it, if you do it for long enough, if you do it enough times, you actually, if you're paying good attention and really learning more about yourself, then you're actually going to learn how to identify things before they ever happen. You were with this girl for 2.5 years. This didn't just happen out of nowhere. There was a build-up to this. And I know that that's something that's probably painful to hear. but it's more than likely the reality. So, you've already moved out, get a job for the summer, go to college, don't date anybody in the meantime, and when you do finally start dating anybody at all, just let it be casual. And also never introduce them to your dad. You know, the crazy thing is that when I wanted to start doing this, going through Reddit, I was going to do an hour at a time, and I didn't know that I had it in me to invest so much time into a story that was essentially, I mean, it was two paragraphs morphed into one. But I didn't expect that I'd be able to talk so long on a single topic. And this next one, I like the title of it. And it's long. I'm going to try to not pause so much because I don't want to go on for more than an hour here. The title of this one is Sister's Childhood Bullying Turns into Adult Envy and Harassment. So just from that title alone, I'm assuming that your sister used to bully you and now you have eclipsed them in some way, and to put it simply, they're jealous of you. First sentence. Hoping someone will read this and just give their thoughts on my lifelong problem, my older sister. Well, buckle up, strap down, because I'm here to help. They say I'm 36. My sister, Nicole, is 38. This is interesting. Oh wow. I don't know how serious to take this, because this could potentially be somebody famous. They say I'm an Emmy-winning TV producer and I work hard but feel grateful for everything I have earned. I'm a happy-go-lucky person. My sister is unemployed and living off of unemployment from being disabled for being obese and not able to work, according to my mom. Nicole is always negative and blames my parents for her being in college debt and the stresses in life. College debt is never the parents' problem. It's never the parents' fault. It is always the student's fault. You're the one that signed the paper. You're the one that has to deal with whatever the terms of that paper are. It just says that your sister is obese. I'm not really following exactly what that means. She's on unemployment from being disabled for being obese. What exactly are we talking about here? My sister and I have not spoken in 17 years. So the original poster is 36, so we're talking about she was 19 or so when she last spoke with her sister. Haven't spoken in 17 years. It stemmed following an incident where I found out that she was publicly putting down my parents and I online and confronted her about it. She goes on to say that her dad is terminally ill, disabled, a veteran, and to her, the going online and saying all those awful things was crossing the line. And it turned out that that wasn't the first time. So, something happened to your sister. Something happened to your sister, and it was something that your parents... You haven't talked a lot about your mom, but you have mentioned your dad. Something that your dad did to your sister kind of rubbed her the wrong way, and it just kind of progressed through your sister's life. Since childhood, Nicole has bullied me at school and at home, from my hair to my nails and smile, to taking chances in my career in TV. As an adult, she uses social media to paint herself as a victim for her bad choices in life. I only found out about all this because my cousin recently sent me a screen grab. It's a screenshot. My cousin recently sent me a screenshot of my sister's Instagram and Twitter pages going back a decade. My parents told me this past December that they knew she was bullying me when I was a kid, but thought she would grow out of it. So I still get the feeling that your parents somehow wronged your sister. Perhaps the way they wronged your sister was that emotionally they just favored you, and your sister was able to see that that was happening, and maybe your sister felt abandoned about it, started eating more, started gaining weight, and she made you the focus of all of her problems. And the issue with that is you decided you weren't going to take any crap from your sister, and you cut her out of your life for 17 years. So what happens when somebody who is a bully, somebody who is either a victim or likes to play the victim, what happens when the primary target of their blame goes away? Well, they need to find a new target to blame. And that's where your parents step in. It's not that she was ever going to grow out of anything. She was just going to evolve. People don't grow. They evolve. The poster goes on to say, "I'm in shock. I didn't give a second thought about her, and it seems that she spends a lot of time spying on me. Many years ago, she blocked me and my mom on social media, which I didn't think about at the time because I didn't care. And you shouldn't. The reality is that so far, it kind of seems like you have a pretty good head on your shoulders. It's ultimately, I would still suggest, to an extent, that you do receive some kind of therapy, just as a way for you to better understand relationships, boundaries, maybe cutting your sister out of your life for 17 years. Maybe that wasn't the healthiest choice for you to make on your part. I'm not putting you down. I'm not necessarily saying that what you did was wrong or bad, or there's anything that you could have done better. But what I am saying is that not everything works the same way for every person in every relationship. Who knows? Maybe you cutting your sister out of your life for 17 years, maybe that was actually the statistical best option, and the outcomes that are currently manifesting, that are currently arising, maybe this is actually the best case scenario at this point. She goes on. Most of her public tweets are still up. There's about 40 of them, word for word. A few are below. Wow. In 10 years, she got about 40 tweets. Give me just a second. I need to refill my cup with water. Now that's what I call some high quality H2O. So we're getting into the copy and pasted tweets. Looks like there's 5 of them. The first one: just opened my gifts and once again my sister has to be a bee. I'm not gonna curse, but it's the B word. She got presents for my parents and uncle knowing I can't afford to. So, wow. I'm trying to figure out if I should read the next 4 tweets or if I should already pick apart this first one. You know what? I've already paused. Let's just get into this. She got presents for my parents and uncle knowing I can't afford to. That is such a bizarre way of thinking, because it's like your sister is expecting you to conform to her reality. That's awful. And there's no these are just 5. It's not really copy and pasted. It's more like they had a screenshot of the tweets and they tabulated them into this post. It's not copy and pasted. So we don't have timestamps, we don't have date stamps or anything like that. I can't tell how close to one another these tweets were created or posted or whatever. The next one goes on and says, I seriously want to punch her. What a bee. The third one, my sister's last laugh is obnoxious. STFU. My ex found my sister's video online and is writing negative things, and then it's the laughing, crying face, the little emoji. Last one, she too skinny, so bony. People always ask me if she's anorexic, and then the laughing, crying emoji. I really don't have anything else to add on that. I wish I did, but the reality is that it's more like it's just adding details into something that's kind of already been discussed. The poster goes on to say, you know the saying, there are two sides to every story. That's not always true. In this case, there's literally only one side. Okay, hold on. In the case of you. Okay, no. Let me take it even one step further back. There are two sides to every story. Not both sides are always valid, but there are at least always two sides. Now, the reality is that you are telling one story and your sister is telling a very different story. It's not that these two things are two sides to a single story. It's that they are two separate stories, and we have one side of your story and we have one side of your sister's story. There's definitely something that happened in your sister's past that affected her, and I'm not trying to necessarily defend your sister's actions or anything like that, because I do believe that the things that she's doing are awful and terrible. But it's wrong of you to go out of your way and just assume that that's it. That you're right, that she's wrong. Sorry, I'm messing around with my screen right now. So, you know the saying that there's two sides to every story. That's not always true in this case. There's literally only one side, and that is that I'm living my life having had no contact with her in 17 years, and she spies on me to trash me to family and friends. I said nothing publicly for 17 years and think that's probably the best course of action to continue. But now she's admitted to going under posts of my TV segments, to write comments, to bash me. Often my bosses and colleagues are tagged on work I do. I feel like it's a sad attempt to sabotage or affect my career and public persona. That's absolutely what it is. I actually agree with you. I believe I said at the very beginning of this that it's very likely that she's you have become this image of everything that she is not. She's very jealous of everything that you have been able to achieve, and meanwhile, she's living on her disability checks. They go on to say, I'm so angry. I quickly contemplated even getting an attorney to go after her for slander. In this case, it wouldn't be slander, it'd be libel. But she's not worth it. Or is it a good way to scare her and stop her for good? Okay, so I actually like the idea of kind of going after your sister in a way, because it's clear that you're not going to attempt to figure out why your sister is the way that she is. Perhaps taking legal action is the right way, but the way that you are thinking about it is what is getting to me personally. You're doing it as a way, you're thinking about it as a way specifically to scare her. I don't believe that your heart is in the right place. She goes on to say, even just taking 3 minutes of my energy to write this makes me sick. But I would love some perspective on the situation from outsiders. Thoughts? The fact that talking about this makes you sick, that's horrible. Not that, there's something that affects you so much to the point where you feel ill, but the fact that you let it. You're letting it do this to you. You're letting your sister get to you. You think that you're so far above your sister, that you've got your crap together. You think that your life is so much better than your sister's, but the reality is that you can't fucking stop thinking about your sister. You may be a successful TV producer at the age of 36. You may have money. You may have love. You may have friends. You may have health. But even after 17 years of no contact with your sister, she is still the master of your mind. What I would suggest is you figure out how to get your mind back. That is the first thing you must do, and right now it is the only thing that you should focus on. Let's see if we can find a quick one. Here's one that I'm hoping will be good. The topic, the headline: 18 years old and looking for a new job and then in parentheses and with caps lock, not fast food. I need help when it comes to looking for a job, or just using other strategies other than Indeed or other job listing websites. So a lot of the job listing websites, Indeed, Monster, I can't think of any others. Those are really good in that you can send out a ton of applications really fast. But the reality is that employers don't contact every person who sends them an application because they're likely getting so many. They can't respond to every single one. So don't expect that your application is even being read if you're using one of those apps or sites like that. They go on to say, I'm 18 years old and I've been looking for anything else besides fast food since January. All I have is fast food experiences. I worked at Popeyes for 6 months, and that's my resume. I hated working in fast food. It had an impact on my mental health and my physical health because of the work environment in fast food. That's actually one of the reasons I never wanted to work in fast food myself was I knew I'd never be able to trust myself working there, because you know those people are eating for free wherever they work. Places I have applied online: grocery stores, local stores, Target, Walmart. I've even gone in person to places near where I live and asked them if they were hiring, and they said to check the online hiring sites. I apparently can't get a job in anything else because I don't have any other experience. If anybody can help me escape the fast food hole or give me some advice, I'm willing to try it. My limitations: I don't have a car, I have a bike. Okay. Find everything. But you do have a phone, and you do have Uber. You can expand your search to everything in a 5-mile radius that is retail. Have you thought of office settings? Have you thought of jobs in like janitorial services? I think that you're thinking of things that are here, but within here there's all of these small jobs. You know, working at Walmart is not a job. You could be a cashier. You could stock shelves. You could sweep the floors. You could go out and collect the shopping carts. You could stand at the door and say hello to people when they walk in. Working at Walmart is not a job. Being a door greeter is a job. Being a stalker is a job. Being a cashier is a job. I think that you're focused so much on the macro of finding a job that you're not thinking about the micro of it. Again, look for office jobs. As for having a phone and not having a car, the point I was trying to make there, and I don't recall if I said it, but should the weather be bad, if it's raining, you can't bike to work in a downpour. You can, but the reality is that that's just not going to look good for you. Having Uber or Lyft or something like that, yes, it's going to cost money, but it's going to allow you to actually do your job. Just expand your search. Expand your search. Figure out what kind of office jobs there are. Maybe this is a good chance for you to go to the local community college and take some courses on, I don't know, medical terminology. Maybe you can get into some kind of program, and this program teaches you CPT codes or something like that, and you can bill medical insurance claims. Maybe you don't need a job. Maybe you need a little bit of education. Now, another thing to keep in mind is that the economy right now, it's only just now kind of kickstarting itself. So keep looking. As long as finding a job becomes your job, I have no doubt you will find something. You will find something soon-ish, probably before this month ends, and you'll be working. And we've been going for almost an hour. I'm just going to cut the mic off, and I'm going to let the music play out to the end. There's only a couple more minutes left in it. But hope you enjoyed the Reddit topics. Hope you enjoyed the advice that was dished out by me. Enjoy the music.